We've all been there, right? That huge burst of motivation that gets you started on something, only to have it vanish just as quickly as it came. Well, today, we're diving into a concept called dynamic drive, and it's all about turning that temporary spark into real, lasting success.
So, have you ever felt this? You work for months, you train for a marathon, you cross that finish line, and then, poof, the next week, you can't even stand to look at your running shoes. Or maybe you hit a massive target at work, and the very next day, you just feel totally empty. It's a super common problem, and we're going to get into exactly why that happens and, more importantly, how to fix it.
And this really gets to the heart of the matter. See, traditional motivation is kind of like a rocket. It's this huge, powerful burst of energy to get you to one specific place. But what happens once you get there? The fuel's all gone. Dynamic drive, though, that's completely different. Think of it more like a renewable power source. It's a non-stop process that connects what you do every day to your deeper purpose, so it's constantly refueling you for the long journey ahead.
All right, so to really unpack all of this, here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at the problem with traditional motivation and introduce dynamic drive as the solution. Then, we're going to break down its 7 keys into 3 phases: activation, sustainment, and maximization. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by seeing how everything is powered by living with purpose.
So, the biggest issue with old-school motivation is that it's finite. It's like a wave of energy you ride to hit a very specific goal. But what happens after that wave hits the shore? It just recedes, right? That's exactly why we get that post-success crash. The motivation was tied to the outcome, not to the journey itself.
And this is where dynamic drive completely changes the game. It's not about a race to some finish line. It's a continuous process where your day-to-day actions are deeply aligned with your core purpose. So instead of draining you, it actually recharges you, because every single step you take is powered by a real sense of personal meaning.
Okay, so how do we actually build this? Well, the very first phase is activation. To get the engine of dynamic drive really fired up, we have to start with 2 foundational keys: mindset and energy. These are the absolute building blocks for everything else that follows.
So let's break these down. Mindset and energy are the bedrock. Think of it this way. Your mindset is like the GPS that sets your route and helps you see obstacles not as walls but as detours. And energy? That's the premium fuel in the tank that lets you actually make the trip. You absolutely need both to get going.
This quote comes from the amazing story of soccer superstar Carly Lloyd. Early in her career, she actually got cut from the under-21 national team and was so discouraged she was ready to quit. She was told she just wasn't trying hard enough. But she had a realization. Her own inner beliefs, her mindset, were the real problem. By actively changing her inner dialogue, she completely transformed herself into a World Cup champion. It just goes to show, talent isn't enough. You have to actively cultivate the right mindset.
Now, right alongside mindset is energy. You know, we're all obsessed with managing our time, but when was the last time you thought about managing your energy? A really great practical way to do this is with an energy audit. It's simple. Just grab a piece of paper, draw 2 columns, one for things that energize you and one for things that drain you. Just seeing it on paper helps you consciously shift your life toward what fuels you, making sure you've got gas in the tank for when it really counts. Okay, so you've activated your drive. You've got a powerful mindset and you're managing your energy. But how do you keep it going when things get hard or, just boring? That brings us right to our second phase, sustainment.
The 3 keys for keeping things going are discipline, curiosity, and resilience. They really work together as a team to keep that engine humming. Discipline gives you the structure, curiosity fuels new ideas within that structure, and resilience, well, that's what gets you back on your feet when you inevitably get knocked down.
First up, discipline. This is your best friend when that initial buzz of motivation starts to wear off. It's the simple framework of daily habits and just showing up, especially on the days you really don't feel like it. It's about doing the work when nobody's watching, because that's where the real progress is made.
So, while discipline keeps you on the path, the next key, curiosity, makes sure you're always finding the best path. It keeps you from getting stale. But what happens when that path gets bumpy? That's where our third key, resilience, comes into play. And the big secret here is that resilience isn't something you're born with, it's a skill you build, like a muscle. It's the ability to look at failure and not see a dead end, but to see valuable data, an opportunity to learn and get even stronger.
And this really shows the cycle perfectly. Resilience turns setbacks into this amazing positive feedback loop. You try something, and maybe you fail. Then you take the time to recover and learn from it. And then you come back even more capable than you were before. Suddenly, every single challenge becomes a chance to level up.
All right, we've activated our drive, we've learned how to sustain it. This final phase, maximization, is all about taking that potential and just amplifying our impact in the world.
And the final two keys are connection and confidence. Honestly, you can think of these as force multipliers. They take all that drive you've built on the inside and just magnify its effect on the outside, leading not just to success, but to real, deep, long-term fulfillment.
Connection is so much more than just networking. This is about building real, genuine, supportive relationships with people based on shared values. When you surround yourself with people who both challenge you and have your back, you create this incredible ecosystem for growth. The real key is to focus on giving value to others first, which naturally builds that strong, mutually beneficial circle around you.
And finally, confidence. Here's the thing about confidence. It's not something you can just decide to have one day. It's something you earn through action. It's a cycle. You start by taking one small action. That action gives you a little bit of experience. You repeat that, and that experience slowly builds into mastery. And it's that feeling of mastery that creates genuine, unshakable self-belief, which of course empowers you to take even bigger actions next time.
So we have all 7 keys now: mindset, energy, discipline, curiosity, resilience, connection, and confidence. But what's the glue holding them all together? What directs all this incredible energy? Well, that brings us to the very core of dynamic drive: living with purpose.
And this is probably the best way to think about it. Purpose is your North Star. It's that internal compass that guides all of your decisions, helping you navigate through the noise and the distractions and keeping you focused on what truly, deeply matters to you.
Ultimately, living with dynamic drive means going all in. It means you stop just randomly checking boxes off a to-do list. Instead, you start consciously making sure that your everyday choices, the big ones and the small ones, are all moving you just a little bit closer to your ultimate vision for your life.
And that really brings us to the final question I want to leave you with. Just take a second and really think about it. How aligned are your actions today, what you're going to do right after this, with the person you ultimately want to become? Because that alignment, that right there is the secret to unlocking your own dynamic drive.